Hi, my name is Natalie Hinton, and we are here today at the GIA Equity and Policy Summit. Let's talk to some of the attendees to get their opinions on the matter. How do you believe that equity in policy impacts students' education?
I think, it's an often unknown fact that it's the little things that can make the difference between a student staying on track to graduate and or stopping out or dropping out for whatever reason. And the policies and culture and operations of a university can really impact that in a big way. So I think it's important for institutions and educators to look at policies as from an equity lens to see what kind of impact they're having on students and whether or not they're creating barriers to success.
Equitable policy allows for students to have a more smoother college experience. I think it enhances their feelings of belonging, their feelings of support from their institution and the faculty and staff that work there. And I think when you have equitable policy and the students feel that that support system exists from their institution by way of policies, it just allows for a stronger sense of success for the student.
I think equity in policy impacts students at every level. We today have been talking about something that is very common across institutions of higher education, our attendance policy, our drop-ad policy, our leave of absence and withdrawal policies. So every university has one of these, but we have to look at them more frequently to make sure that the ways that we structure those policies don't inadvertently create barriers and hurdles that really make it hard for students to navigate their experience.
It's extremely vital to always revisit policies. Education is evolving. It's not something that's static. It is living, and we have to continue to revisit what we said even a year ago. And sometimes policies get outdated in 6 months, so it's important to always keep an eye out for when change is happening to ensure our student success.
I think that when we look at policies, especially older policies, a lot of times they were designed around a student who either was not part of the population at that time or who did not yet exist. Up until about the 1960s, early 1970s, colleges were very heavily white and male. And so when you get a student who is Latina and undocumented, when you get a student who is, Filipino and first gen, when you get a student who is Black and Pell Grant eligible, those were not the people who were, being thought of at that time. And so we have to look at a policy and we have to shape it around the students we have today.
Many of our students, particularly here in the Inland Empire, want to go to college. They may not really know what resources are available. And sometimes there is a clear division of those students who really want to go but may not have those resources. And so I think, equity in policy allows students to actually be treated no matter what their zip code is, what ethnicity they are, basically, so that we're more inclusive and we're serving everybody here in the Inland Empire.
Educational equity should be at the center of all of the work that we do in K through higher education. So I think it's a really important lens that we are mindful of in any of the policies that we develop. And we know that policies really impact people and the people that serve them, and the extent to which equity can be at the center of those policies, I think we'll have a much stronger system and also better student outcomes.
All of us in education, whether it's post-secondary or K-12, we really have the students at heart. But sometimes we don't stop and reflect on policies that can be inequitable and it can create unintentional barriers. So I think once we're given the time to do that and reflect on the policies that we have and really go through kind of like the process like we are going through here today, I think that's can be a really huge benefit because then we can really like, well, is this really equitable? Is it creating unintentional barriers? Because we really, all of us, I think, want to remove those so our students can be more successful. To have this opportunity for, to sit down together, post-secondary and K-12 and, focus on some critical issues, I think that's really valuable.